A lot of people ask me what are the tools I use or what are the tools you need for game development. And in all honesty, you don't really need anything more than just a text editor. But if you want to make your game dev journey a whole lot easier, there are 4 tools I definitely recommend, and 4 tools that make up the most of what I use when I'm game developing. Number 1 and the most important is a game development engine. Predominantly, I've always used Unity, although with all the recent shenanigans that have been going on, I'll be moving to Unreal. But the fact of the matter is, it's essential to get a really good, reliable game engine that you're comfortable with. Despite all the things that have gone on behind the scenes, Unity has been a very easy to use game engine, and it's given me all the tools I've needed to complete the games that I've wanted to in the ways that I've wanted to. Now, whether you go for Unity, Unreal, Godot, GameMaker Studio, or anything else, there's something really important that you need to consider that hardly any other people talk about, and that's how easy it's going to be to finish your game in that game engine. A lot of people talk about how easy it is to get into a game engine or how to start making a game in a game engine, and pretty much all of them are great. But if you're somebody that wants to actually put out and ship games, the most important part is going to be the end of the life cycle, how easy it is to complete the game, because the beginning of game development is always the easiest part. It's the end that's the hardest. And when you come to deciding the game engine you want to use, it's really important to understand at the beginning if that tool is going to give you all the things you're going to want at the end. With one of the easiest examples being, can it export to all the types of devices you want to develop for? Now, I've got videos that go over alternative options to Unity, and I also have videos which discuss the reasons why I don't personally use Godot. If you want to check those out, those will be in cards above. But moving on to my next essential tool, and that is Blender. Now, Blender is a fantastic 3D modeling package, but it is quite tricky to use, and it can be a lot to learn for anybody coming in fresh. I personally am not that good at using Blender, and I've not put a lot of time into learning it, but regardless, it is still come in invaluable to my game development journey. And the reason is that I'm able to take existing assets, put them into Blender, and modify them for my needs. So to put it into context, for Gym Empire, I wanted a series of different characters with different shapes, different muscle types, different weights, etc. And there's literally nothing out there that I could get from asset stores that provided me that. My only option was to either make them myself or to pay somebody a lot of money to make it for me. So what I did was I bought 2 great models which fit the style that I wanted from the asset store, put them into Blender, and slightly modified each one of them to create a variety of different character types. Starting 3D modeling from scratch is really tricky, but having a model where you just want to stretch out an arm to give it a bit of a muscle or stretch out a belly to make it look a bit fatter is a lot easier. And that's where Blender has proved invaluable for me, being able to take in a lot of types of assets and being able to export in lots of different formats as well. Carrying on down the graphical route as well, and another tool that's been invaluable to me has been Paint.net or any other kind of picture editor, because when you're developing your video game, you're going to have to create your different textures, different GUIs, and loads of other different visual assets. And where Blender's perfect for all the 3D modeling stuff, something like Paint.net is fantastic for creating all the different types of textures that you're going to want. It's a simple choice, but it's definitely effective, and Paint.net is a free option as opposed to something like Adobe Photoshop. And the 4th tool I use, although it's kind of cliched, it is absolutely essential to my game development journey, and I couldn't get as far as I have without it. That's YouTube. No matter how good you are at game development or software engineering or any of the many skills you need as a game developer, there's always going to be at least one thing that really challenges you. And whether or not you would never find the answer or find the answer eventually by putting a lot of time and effort, something like YouTube is invaluable to saving that time and giving you answers quickly. Now, the effectiveness of something like YouTube certainly depends on the type of game engine you're using. If you're using something completely obscure or even your own game engine, it can be a lot harder trying to find those answers. But if you're using something like Unity or Unreal, there's so many tutorials and so many different videos out there giving you answers to pretty much every single question you can think of. And expanding beyond YouTube, Google, and all the other different training options that are out there now for game developers are an invaluable tool to helping you along your game development journey, or at the very least speeding it up. And that's why these 4 tools are essential to me and essential to any game developer that wants to be able to produce video games fast. Because there is one thing that is essential if you want to make money as a video game developer, if you want to make game development your long-term career. And we talk about exactly that in this video right here.